Right, this PS5 belongs to the same customer that sent in the last job. Job number 1 for this customer was bad news. Let's hope that number 2 is going to be better news for the customer. Fingers crossed. Let's move this because that belongs to him as well. Put that with his console. Right, let's have a look what's wrong with this one. Let's see. Okay, this turns on. The customer's just said that this one boot loops in the dashboard. So for anyone watching this back in the video, I am live streaming. And apparently this boot loops in the dashboard. So let's see what's going on with it, shall we? Right, so this has been factory reset. AI, do you know how long it takes to boot loop? By any chance? About that long, apparently. So has that just... Oh, okay. That's a new one. Is it just in the dashboard? No, it gets worse as it warms up. So if you run this underwater, it would never boot loop, right? Yeah, constantly crashing. Alright, well, there you go. This video probably still would have been here without today's sponsor. But hey, it's time to show something, right? So here goes. Here at the Coder Productions, we love nothing more than to take as much money from you, the viewer, as we possibly can. Which is why we're proud to talk to you about consolefix.shop. A great place for you to spend your hard-earned cash. I mean, yeah, fair enough. You get parts and supplies that help you fix things, but you've got to give me some money in return. Nothing in life's free, and if you pay me for it, you might appreciate it more. Or not, hey, I'm not judging. With that being said, we do have some pretty cool stuff on the shelves, including power supplies, HDMI ports, charging chips, MOSFETs, and whatever else you can think of that'll give you the illusion that you're getting a good deal. So head on over to the online store by clicking on the link in the video description, and if there's one thing I can guarantee, is that there will be a way for me to take your money. Console Fix, your friendly money grabbing YouTuber. Yeah, Ellie said water cooling. There you go. Right, so initial thoughts. So it could be the SSD controller, it could be the encoder, or it could be the RAM. Theoretically, it could be BIOS related, but unlikely. Should be a fun one. It should be interesting, yeah. Okay, let's get it apart. So if you're watching this back in the video, I am live streaming it on YouTube, Twitch. What else am I live streaming on? Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. The code of YouTube. And Kick as well. I'm trying to build up some more social media platforms. So yeah, if you are watching back in the video, don't forget to subscribe because I'm lonely. My mum told me I've got no friends. And then even she left me. So if you feel sorry for me, hit the subscribe button. Hate it when the screws get stuck. See, even the screws don't want to come out and play, look. Last time I said encoder had been changed, the only thing it didn't change was the RAM. Ooh. Interesting. Hopefully he hasn't messed with the SSD controller and stuff, because that takes the fun out of it. Free SSD? Nope. So even you're not lucky like me, mate. I'm never lucky enough to find a free SSD either. Shutting down 26th of the 1st, 2023. Okay. This is probably a shop who's worked on this. I'm gonna be honest here, and this isn't to try and slag anyone off. Like it's not to try and slag whoever's worked on this off or anything like that. I'm going to be honest here, I don't think they've done much to this. Because anyone who has to mark where the screws go probably doesn't know enough about the console to do that kind of stuff. That's all I'm saying. They probably don't know enough about the console. If they've got to mark every single screw like that, They probably don't know enough about the console to be replacing stuff like the SSD controller and the encoder and stuff. But no, I could be wrong. I could be really good at micro soldering. I've just never worked on one before, so I just want to mark them so I don't get them wrong. I don't know. The thing is, wouldn't it have been easier and quicker to just mark the ones where there's not a screw? Like there, for example. Or there. Or there. Or there. It would have been a lot quicker to just mark where there's no screw for the silver ones. Just to make it clear, I'm not slagging anyone off. I'm just voicing my opinion as I'm seeing it. You know, as it's coming into my head. 4,000 screws later. Oh God. Yeah. All right. Well, what have they done here? Come on, tell me where he hurt you. It's okay. It's okay. Daddy's here. Daddy's gonna save you. It's okay, little boy. You're safe now. We'll make it better. Don't worry. Now hush, little PS5, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Don't start singing. Aww. Spoil sport. That's Sharpie Arrow saying game in and game out. Someone definitely needs to take away this guy's Sharpie. Yeah. I agree. The thing is, as well, why are you checking for voltage on a console that turns on? Because you're marking standby voltages, right? Like, you're marking standby voltages. Here's the thing. Like, you're testing this in standby. That's a standby rail. That's a standby rail. That's a standby rail. That's a standby rail when you attempt to power it on. These only come on when you turn it on, but that wouldn't power on without these rails. And this is power button voltage, so I don't understand why they're marking those voltage rails. And again, I'm not slagging anyone off. Maybe they just don't quite understand how the voltage rails work on these. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on these. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time on these, and obviously I know these things pretty much inside out at this point. I am a walking schematic when it comes to PS5s, but that's just because I've spent so much time working on them. But yeah, maybe the person just doesn't understand what voltage rails are meant to be present and when. I don't know. But let's just have a look and see if we can figure out what's been done to this first, because we need to make sure. Another thing, while I'm just looking around for signs, okay, that encoder's definitely been changed, or at least reflowed. I can't say it's been changed for sure. Yeah, one other thing that I don't quite understand is, I mean, the customer. I'm not obviously. I don't know whether the customer's telling the truth or not. No reason to lie, I suppose. He said that the last owner said that he's changed everything apart from the RAM. If he's changed everything apart from the RAM, that means he's capable of BGA rework. If he's capable of BGA rework, he would have probably changed the RAM. I don't think any BGA work's been done. Right. That's pretty hard to tell, but that looks factory to me. It doesn't look like this. Yeah, so if you look at this, there's no signs that this area has been cleaned up. If you look over here, we can visibly see signs of it being reworked and signs of it being cleaned, right? It doesn't look like it's been cleaned up. I mean, there's a couple of smears here and there. Maybe they've cleaned the board, but I don't see any evidence that there's ever been flux there. And if you look under the chip, let me get a better angle. It doesn't look like it's been replaced to me. Just look for the marker circles around the south bridge. Yeah, I can't see any evidence that that's been changed. I could be wrong, but same with the SSD controller. That SSD controller has definitely not been changed. No. There's no visible signs of any flux at all around the SSD controller as well. In fact, That's still got the marks from the viscous paste that was originally on the board. That has never been changed. There's no visible signs of anything there. It's very unlikely to be the south bridge. Did any flux seep through under the south bridge? I don't think so. I didn't notice any. A little bit, actually, a little bit of a smear mark, but that's probably come from the SPV because it looks like they've replaced that. We've got some signs of solder there, so I'm going to say that this smear mark here on the left hand side is from the SPV. There's no smear marks over here, and there would be. It would have come through. So I'm going to say that they've tried replacing this SPV. It looks like they've literally just guessed. To be honest, they've been guessing. Why they would ever change an SPV chip when it boots and turns on? SPV is responsible for standby voltages required for it to actually turn on. I don't know, but it doesn't add up to me. The story, I'll say story because to me it is a story. I'm not calling the customer a liar, I'm calling the original owner a liar. The story that they've said doesn't make any sense. If they was able to change these chips like they said they have, then they would have probably changed the RAM as well, and we would see evidence that these chips have been changed. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. Yeah, that's still got the original viscous paste on, look, underneath. That hasn't been changed, definitely not. It hasn't even been reflowed. So the most common cause of random crashing in the dashboard is generally down to the SSD controller. So I'm going to try replacing that. There's no real way to test it. It's probably not the encoder. It's not going to be a voltage rail because the console turns on. It's not going to be a missing rail. Yes, it could be the RAM, but I'm not going to sit there and replace 8 RAM chips when I can replace this and take 20 minutes rather than replacing the RAM and taking 4 hours. Just not going to do it. So, I'm going to sit and drink my coffee first, and then I'm going to replace this SSD controller. So yeah, I'm going to... What I tend to do with these, because this is a guess, I'm going to be honest. It's an educated guess, but it's a guess. I've come across similar issues where it's been the SSD controller, and the problem is there's no real way to test the SSD controller apart from getting diode readings on the back, which I do that when I'm selling them, but there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of capacitors and stuff, and I may as well just remove it and replace it. And if it doesn't fix it, as long as the console still turns on, it's at the same situation it was, then I will basically just leave that SSD controller on and then put that one to one side for reballing. That's normally the way I do it. So I'll preheat the board first at a distance. What happened to the 15 PS5 boards? I've worked on 8 of them. I haven't edited the videos for all of them yet, but I've worked on 8 of them. And I've got like 7 left to work on. I think it's 8 that I've worked on. I need to edit the rest of the videos. I think I've uploaded 5 videos for them so far. But I'm pretty sure video number 7 is corrupt. So I might be able to look on that one. I have got others. I've bought more since then. I've bought some digital only boards, which I've been doing without making videos on them. Mainly because I just needed the parts, to be honest. Little word of advice: give the chip a tap a few times before you lift it up. Because it prevents oxidation. Well, for the most part, we've got a little bit of oxidation here, but that'll clean up with the iron. It reduces the risk of damage to the chip. But yeah, pop that to one side. Oh look, no Sharpie, yeah. Yeah, it just reduces risk of damage to the chip if you give it a tap a few times. Even though I knew it was obviously ready to come up, give it a tap a few times, just move it around, allow the flux to flow a little bit better. And yeah, just gives you more chance of not oxidising the chip when you're removing it. What you're working on, it's a PS5, mate, with a random crash in it. Well, not random, it's actually quite coordinated. It's crashing on the dashboard. So I'm attempting a replacement of the SSD controller here. There's a lot of thermal mass in this area as well because this chip runs pretty hot. So there's a lot of ground points and stuff. You see all those lighter areas? Most of that is ground. Right, let's get rid of that blob. Try one ball at a time. No. This would be like reballing a Nintendo Switch stencil. A Nintendo Switch CPU by hand. And then some. Wicket like John Wick indeed. Wicket while it's hot. Wicket while it's hot. Wicket while it's hot. There's a little bit of corrosion on this this wick. I'm not sure why. When the flux gonna give it to you, wicket while it's hot. Wicket while it's hot. Wicket while it's hot. There we go. That's ready for a new chip. Looks good to me. This will do as a donor because this is the one that I used for the April Fool's joke. And this is what happens when you use plumber's flux. And this ain't even been powered on. But this is fine. This hasn't been touched. I use this as an April Fool's joke. I put a blowtorch to the APU, but this part never got touched. I've never put flux near it or anything like that, so it's absolutely fine. Yeah, there's a little bit of gunk under there, but I think it'll clean up fine. You see how there's no oxidation to these pads because I tapped the chip a few times before I lifted it and made sure there was loads of flux under it as well. And by the way, I don't remove them like that when I sell them. I remove them from under the board. That I heat up from the other side of the board when I reball them for resale. Just because I find it safer. Less chance of damage. The only reason I do them above the board here is because it's quicker and because if it doesn't work, I can just change the chip again. For me, it's not a big deal, but obviously if a customer bought a faulty chip, they're going to be pissed. So, especially if I've killed it quick as a heat. They can generally take quite a bit of stick, though, these chips can. Add some flux. I'll just run it backwards and forwards and fill in as many of the holes as possible. try and get rid of as many excess balls from around the edge because I don't want them to jump. I don't care about a few balls being in these big holes here, in these stress holes. That don't bother me in the slightest. They're not all going to jump out and merge with other balls. So I'm not bothered about any of that, really. Start off at 10% airflow. Damn it. A couple of those balls popped out. Very rumbling, yeah. Always, mate. It's because I don't eat until I finish streaming, that's why. I eat just before I go to bed because otherwise I wake up in the middle of the night hungry. So I eat right before I go to bed. But I don't eat in the day at all. Ah, some of these balls are moving. I think my stencil might be a little bit warped. I dropped it on top of the magnet earlier. So very carefully, I'm going to try and lift this stencil off. A couple missing now, stuck to the stencil. That's fine. And place them manually. I'm going to get rid of that one because it's decided to change shape. So I don't know whether any of the solder stuck to the edge of the stencil, or the back of the stencil rather. So I'll get rid of them. Any that have changed shape, just get rid of them. Any more missing? Why is it so out of focus for me? Looks good enough. Right, I'm going to have to drop my airflow right down now because the stencil's not actually in place. So I'll drop right down to 1% airflow for this. Right, they're starting to flow. No, got a couple of movers. Damn it. You son of a... It's only the one. That one's actually already fixed to the pad, so that's fine. My eyes keep going funny for some reason. Well, that seems to have gone okay. Add some flux. Flux is all around. In every sight and every sound. Pop a nozzle on. Go to 5%. Knew that was going to happen. Knew that was going to happen. Wait for that to settle. They haven't actually fixed together, so it's fine. No. Come on. Gotcha. Got him. Right, we've got another one there which is acting up a little bit. Just going to give it a little gentle persuasion. There you go. Perfect. Let's get that in position. I'll keep that same flux on there, it's not a problem. It's not an issue. Let's go to 440 now. And what I'm going to do as well is, you see this little secondary RAM here? I think it acts as some sort of a cache for the SSD. I think it's a 2 or a 4 gig chip. I'm going to add flux to that because you tend to find when you replace these, a lot of the time it oxidises that and causes issues. It causes it to go from a working console to beep on beep off just by replacing the SSD controller. So I like to reflow that at the same time, just to make sure we've got no oxidised pads underneath it. I'm partially flowing this down. There's flux on the chip as well, bear in mind, so that should actually be, yeah, locked in. A partial reflow just to lock it into place. Just basically, if you add too much flux too quickly, you'll just end up having the chip float all over the place. Whereas because it's now partially soldered, there's at least, you know, probably 20-30 balls which are fully flown. It's not going to go anywhere. Or it shouldn't. There you go, so it's starting to sit in position. Give it a nudge. I'm going to give this chip a nudge as well, this secondary RAM. There's that. And there you go. I know you couldn't see the secondary RAM, I could see, but you guys couldn't, but I have just reflowed that as well, just to make sure that it's not oxidised or anything. Just because we've had a lot of heat around that area, and it does happen more often than not. That'll do for now in terms of cleaning. Right, housing. Right, well, it is 3:10 AM, so no matter the outcome, I'm ready for my bed. To be honest, no matter the outcome, I am ready for my bed. I spent too long on that Series X, to be honest. So unfortunately, that means we're not going to get to do any more. I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow as well. Do you think this repair is reasonable? Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, these chips, I sell these chips reballed for £60, right? So if you was charging labour on top of that, an hour's labour, so whatever you charge on an hourly rate plus the cost of the chip, and it's still going to be much cheaper than Sony. You know, it's more than worth it. That's when you know I'm getting tired. That's when you know I'm getting tired. When I forget to plug the power button in. Your fingers make magic. Nah, it's just practice, mate. It's just practice. It's not magic, honestly. It's really not. Right, that's powering on. Let's get that fan connected up. We need the disk drive as well. Why have we got no fan spin? Huh? How have we got no fan spin? Evidently the fan wasn't spinning before. Okay. Okay, that fan might be faulty. What was the deal with that? I'm too tired to think about that. Now what's happening? Is it going to crash and reset? Of course it is. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there for this one. I'll pick it up when I come back off a holiday because there's not really much I can do tonight now. It's too late. I've got so much to do tomorrow. I've got to get the house ready for my son's birthday. And then on top of that, we've got my son's birthday party on Sunday and then we go away Monday. So, yeah, it sucks for this customer right now, but not really a lot I can do. That's not actually crashing now. Hang on a minute. Ah, maybe it is. You'll source this one. Well, hopefully. I will take another look at it. So I'll make a second video on this because this will make a video. The fan won't be causing it. No, it's not the fan. It's definitely not that. I don't know. Oh, I'm tired. So yeah, never mind.